Welcome back. If you just joined us, you're watching the news at 10, broadcasting on Channels Television live from Lagos. Speaking of which, here are a few pictures sent in to our eyewitness portal by you, our eyewitness reporters. Let's begin with this one. It shows a flooded road in which is the Ikotekpene Road in Aba, Abia State. Our eyewitness reporter is seeking government intervention to fix the road to stop the flooding. Our next picture shows an abandoned link road located somewhere in Ogoja in Cross River State. The road is set to be in poor state. As you can see, our eyewitness reporter wants the government to do something about it. Finally, is a trailer said to be overloaded and packed up in Adodo Ota in Ogun State. Our eyewitness reporter says this obstruction needs to be removed. Thank you for sending in those pictures to know that you too can be an eyewitness reporter for Channels Television. Now, the shooting in Gaydam, which happened earlier today in the town in Yobe State, has subsided. Earlier this evening, Gaydam residents told our correspondents in Damaturu that they heard sporadic gunshots and sounds of improvised explosive devices at some locations within the town. A police public relations officer in the state, ASP Toyin Badigeshi, who confirmed the attack, said the militants are making efforts to invade the town, but security forces on the ground are making efforts to repel them. Gaydam last came under attack in March this year, with residents fleeing into Main Soroa in Niger Republic and other major towns in the state before returning to their homes weeks after restoration of peace in the area. Reports say that the town itself, is located 183 kilometers north of Damaturu, the state capital. It's a border town between Nigeria and the Republic of Niger. The federal government has assured retired military men of prompt payment of their pensions and entitlements as part of efforts to boost the morale of officers and men of the military. And the flag off of the military pension verification exercise, the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Defense, Mr. Ismaila Aliyu, said the government will continue to take care of all military pensioners and their next of kin. He explained that the nationwide verification exercise will enable the federal government capture the accurate number of retirees. 24 hours after the ministerial list was read on the floor of the Senate, the President has summoned a meeting of the leadership of the National Assembly and the presidency. Attending that meeting is Senate President Dr. Bukola Saraki and the Speaker of the House of Representatives. Although the media has been barred from covering the meeting, there are feelers that the President, Muhammadu Buhari, is meeting with the National Assembly leadership as a way of softening the ground for nominees expected to appear before the Senate on Tuesday next week. It's the first official meeting this National Assembly leadership will be holding with President Muhammadu Buhari since the election of the NAS leadership, which did not go the way of the All Progressives Congress. Well, we will take this discussion further now. Joining us on the news at 10 is the Senate Committee Media and Publicity Chairman, Mr. Dinomelaye, who will be joining us much later, we understand. And moving on, the River State Judicial Commission of Inquiry set up to investigate the administration of former Governor Chibuike Amaechi has submitted its report to Governor Nyesom Wike. A former governor did not appear before the panel throughout its 30-day sitting. Chairman of the Commission, Justice George Omirigi, said that some persons had been recommended to return mismanaged funds, while others have been penciled down for immediate prosecution. The contents of the report are yet to be made public. Governor Wike has assured members of the Commission that their recommendations will be fully implemented. The 7-man panel of inquiry was set up by the River State government to investigate the alleged sale of state assets and mismanagement of funds under former Governor Chibuike Amaechi. Meanwhile, the House of Representatives is to investigate the over 5 trillion naira debt profile of the Assets Management Corporation of Nigeria. The House is also to set up other ad hoc committee to look into motions that have to do with the country's financial sector. Our correspondent, Lanre Lasisi, reports.
Be able to take the motion.
The financial challenges currently confronting the country appear to have been the main focus of most of the motions that were considered in plenary. One of the first motions had to do with the need to enforce the ban on foreign poultry products. The motion highlighted the economic implication of this lack of vigilance.
The economic impact on the local poultry industry is enormous, given that Nigerians lose about 1 million jobs and about 2.4 billion naira, which is approximately about 399.4 billion naira annually, to importation and smuggling of frozen birds. Also concerned that while there is a proclaimed federal government ban on frozen poultry products, the nation's porous borders still create avenues for smuggling of these hazardous products into the country.
I'm urging this House to, as a matter of urgency, based on this motion, to actually invite the customs to tell us what is hindering the effective patrol that the nation is losing 600 billion on an annual basis.
The House resolved to have the Consumer Protection Council and the Nigerian Customs Service appear before an ad hoc committee to explain why these products continue to flood the Nigerian market despite an existing ban. An ad hoc committee is also to investigate the debt profile and activities of the Asset Management Corporation of Nigeria. This followed a motion on undue accumulation of debts by the agency.
AMCON has accumulated a debt profile of about 5 trillion naira, about $25 billion US, as against the mandate of a debt profile of 800 billion as a ceiling. Also aware that accumulated debts of AMCON in 5 years were more than the debts owned by the federal government of Nigeria to Paris Club of creditors in 50 years.
The motion passed without a hitch, and the committee is to report back to the House in 6 weeks. The motion by Representative Namdas Abdulrazak on alleged fraudulent practices in the collection and management of non-oil revenue remittances also passed unanimously.
Revenues from non-oil sources are not being properly accounted for and are usually spent without recourse to the enabling acts that establish the non-oil revenue earnings agencies.
The ad hoc committee is expected to submit the report on this investigation to the House in the next 6 weeks. Lanre Lasisi, Channels Television News.
Senators from Rivers State have submitted a petition to the Senate against the nomination and confirmation of the former governor of Rivers State, Rotimi Amaechi, as minister. Mr. Amaechi was one of the 21 ministerial nominees unveiled on Tuesday by Senate President Bukola Saraki. The petition was written by a non-governmental organization, the Integrity Group, based in Port Harcourt, the Rivers State capital. Presenting the petition on the floor of the Senate, a federal lawmaker from Rivers State, Senator George Sekibo, informed the Senate that the petition bordered principally on corruption and criminal breach of trust leveled against Mr. Amaechi. The Senate President referred the petition to the Senate Committee on Ethics and Privileges for consideration.
On behalf of my other colleagues, Senator Olaka Nwogu and Senator Idiozo Sinachuku from Rivers State. Mr. President, we have a petition signed by one Livingstone Wechi and so many others, numbers that we cannot mention here, on issues of blatant fraud and corruptive practice against Rotimi Amaechi. The petition lack of
Well, the News at 10 returns. More on the first list of ministerial nominees on the floor of the Senate. We'll be joined on the News at 10 by the Chairman, Senate Committee on Media and Publicity, Dino Melaye. Please stay with us.